Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Personal Finance for Us. Today, we're going to be talking about 3 lessons learned from the Nikola bust. Let's get into it. So I had no real intention of doing a video like this, but sometimes news and current events are just too good to pass up. For those of you that have been following EVV and clean energy type companies, you've probably come across a company called Nikola, as in the first name of the famous inventor Nikola Tesla, as in the same famous inventor that Elon Musk named his electric vehicle company from behind. So already kind of a red flag there, which kind of indicates that the founder might be a bit of a biter. Does anyone say biter anymore? Did I just bust out 1997? I'm showing my age. Anyway, for anyone that doesn't already know, Nikola founder Trevor Milton has been writing some pretty big checks with his mouth that his company's ass can't cash.
There's very few people that can out Elon in this world, and I'm one of them.
There have been many people out there recently calling the company out, particularly for going public when they haven't actually produced a product yet.
Nikola's got no products. That's always, by the way, a suboptimal way to run a business.
And as it turns out, it looks like the company doesn't have any of its own proprietary technology, and this is off the back of them suing Tesla. In fact, the company was actually accused of letting their truck roll downhill in a promotional video that they released. Let's see the video here. Milton's defense for what was shown in this video was, well, they never actually claimed the vehicle was propelling itself. Although, why would you release a promo video of your truck in motion if... Anyway, that's his defense. Okay, the goal of this video has not been to bash Nikola. I have a feeling there's going to be plenty of that on the horizon. The goal of this video is to talk about 3 things that we as investors can take away from this whole Nikola debacle. Number 1 is assess the company's leadership team. This piece of advice I got from investor Ian Dunlap. You can see him every Monday on the Earn Your Leisure podcast and YouTube channel. He does their Market Mondays, and he said when picking companies, you really want to get to know the CEO and his number 2 and his number 3, kind of liken them to a big 3 in basketball. Now, the most frequent and obvious comparison for Nikola is, of course, going to be Tesla. Before Elon founded Tesla, he became a billionaire off of PayPal. So he had already proven to us that, A, he was totally capable of driving and creating new proprietary technology, and B, that he knew how to take this technology to market and form a business, and it made him a billionaire. So if you were a new investor to Tesla, however long it was they went public, 10, 12 years ago now, you could at least have had that background knowing that Elon was the real deal. When we look at Trevor Milton's background, he has pretty much not done much of anything. Further, he was the CEO of Nikola, but his actual number 2s and 3s suggested that he stepped down because, again, he was making some pretty large claims out there. Now, I'm not an engineer, but I do have a degree in biology, so I've had to take physics and chemistry in the past, and subsequently, I have a fundamental understanding of how these things work. So when Elon Musk said this about hydrogen, it made a lot of sense to me.
I don't want to turn this into a debate on hydrogen fuel cells because I just think that they're extremely silly. And the people have published. There's multiple sort of rebuttals of it online. it's just very difficult to make hydrogen and store it and use it in a car. Hydrogen is an energy storage mechanism. It's not a source of energy. So you have to get that hydrogen from somewhere. If you get that hydrogen from water, so you're splitting H2O, the electrolysis is extremely inefficient as an energy process. If you say took a solar panel and used the energy from that solar panel to just charge a battery pack directly, compared to try to split water, take the hydrogen, dump the oxygen, compress the hydrogen to an extremely high pressure or liquefy it, and then put it in a car and run a fuel cell. It is about half the efficiency. It's terrible. So why would you do that? It makes no sense. And then hydrogen has very low density. It's a pernicious molecule, likes to get all over the place. You get metal embrittlement from hydrogen. If you get a hydrogen leak, it's an invisible gas. You can't even tell that it's leaking. But then it's extremely flammable when it does and has an invisible flame. If you're going to pick an energy storage mechanism, hydrogen is an incredibly dumb one to pick. You should just pick methane. That's much, much easier, or propane. Hydrogen fuel cell, the best case hydrogen fuel cell doesn't win against the current case batteries. So then obviously it doesn't make sense. That will become apparent in the next few years. There's no reason for us to have this debate. I've said, my piece on this. It will be super obvious as time goes by. I don't know what we're saying. So.
I listened to this and I knew Elon was absolutely right. So if a guy that has already formed one successful company and is already a successful engineer tells you that hydrogen is probably silly, we as investors should probably listen. I mean, it only makes sense because if hydrogen made sense, he would be doing it himself. So if you look at a company's big three and it looks more like the Three Stooges instead of Pippin, Rodman, and Jordan, it's probably time to look elsewhere.
To make 10 gallons of beer, pour 1 can of hops, and a can of malt into a large crock. Then fill crock with hot water. Hotsy-totsy! Come on.
The second lesson we can learn from this Nikola debacle is assess the company's track record. Nikola went public before they ever actually produced anything. Trevor Milton was pressed on this by multiple CNBC staff, and let's take a look.
Your company right now with a market value that is approximately 8 times the revenue that you're projected to make in 2024. Do you have any comment on the valuation of your stock?
Nikola reporting its first earnings as a public company last night with no revenue or physical product to show at this point.
When will you actually have a product on the market?
So we have trucks coming off the assembly line right now. That's a question a lot of people ask.
Hey, Trevor, it's Jim Cramer. I've always appreciated your commentary, and if you've got the Badger, let me be the Honey Badger. You got 14,000 reservations, $10 billion order book. How much in deposits have you taken in?
I wish I could comment on that, but it'll actually give away the number of reservations we have.
But is it the possibility that the number of deposits is 0?
No, heavens no. No, we got a lot of deposits.
So some people are depositing, some people aren't depositing. Is it kind of like a commune?
No, we require deposits on every order we have now. So
well, that would seem to be a disclosable number. As a matter of fact, I think it's a material number that you will have to disclose. If there was an SEC, not just the one that's on CBS, but the actual SEC, I think they'd ask you, what is your number? Because we can't make a judgment.
No, I think that's fair, and I think you're going to see it in our next quarter's, earnings. I think you're going to see that, divided out.
Okay.
So, look, the Badger is actually really cool, and I'd love to have you out here. Look, I know you guys have, I think yesterday you kind of came down on us pretty hard.
As you can see, lots of excitement, lots of claims, no product. Okay, and the last and third lesson to learn from this whole ordeal is always check your emotions. I'm not gonna lie, when I saw the Badger rendering photos and read the claims on Autoblogs, I was intrigued. It sounded like maybe it could be the next best thing. seemed pretty exciting. I am a bit of a hydrogen skeptic. To be totally honest, I remember my chemistry days. I know it's an incredibly reactive element. It's the most reactive element in the periodic table. So therefore, stabilizing it, I know, takes a lot of energy and work in itself. That being said, I do know that there's been advances made in the technology in hydrogen fuel cells, and I know they've been around for a long time. So I was willing to go in with an open mind and do some research. When I looked into the company itself and I looked at their videos, it did prompt a little bit of excitement in me. But that was when I decided to go ahead and seek out some of Nikola's skeptics. And truth be told, they were not very hard to find. My emotions calmed down quite a bit, and I decided that it would be way more intelligent to just sit tight, see how the company does in the next couple of years, and don't invest a dime until they get a couple of decent, reliable products on the road, and make sure that they weren't going to go boom. The result of me calming down those emotions and being patient and waiting to see what the company could produce effectively saved me from getting burned. So that'll do it for this video, guys. I hope you always remember, keep those emotions in check. Never let them get the best of us. Investing is math over emotions. It has to make sense. Companies have to make sense. Anytime you play an emotional and speculative game, you will likely lose. But it will be interesting to see how all of this plays out. For any investors out there that did put money into Nikola, did believe Trevor Milton's promises, there is the class action lawsuit going on. Depending on how much you invested, it might be worth your time to investigate. Certainly won't hurt. In the meantime, this has been Personal Finance for Us. We're out.